Hello and welcome. My name is Bashir Fadl, and on behalf of LearnITCoursesOnline.com as well as LearnJobsOnline.com, I'd like to thank you. We do know that you have a variety of choices of IT training, and you've chosen us, so we really appreciate that and hope that you enjoy it. Thank you. In this segment, we're going to work with sharing rules in Salesforce and how to control records visibility using sharing rules in Salesforce. Sharing rules in Salesforce make automatic exceptions to our organization-wide sharing settings for a defined set of users. Using sharing rules in Salesforce, we can extend sharing access to users in public groups, roles, or territories. Sharing rules can never be stricter than organization-wide default settings. We can create sharing rules based on record owner and field values in the record. Different sharing rule components in Salesforce are: number one, share with records; number two, with which users; number three, what kind of access. So those are the three types of sharing rule components. Though we can manage the access to different objects and records through organization-wide settings and role hierarchies, we come across situations wherein exceptions are required. We need to grant access to specific data to specific users who are not able to access the required data because of their role. For example, to see the case history when a user has only access to the current case details. In such scenarios, we take help of sharing rules. Through this mechanism, we can create a public group which will accommodate all the users who need such exception, and then add sharing rules to such a group. Steps to create sharing rules is what we're going to discuss at this point. So step number one, we create a public group which will have the users who need specific access. So we navigate to the setup and then click on users, and then public groups, and then new group. Or simply go to setup, search for public groups, and then click on new group. We need to fill the required details, also change the group of users who will need to use the sharing rules, and we keep the grant access using hierarchies checked so that the other users listed below in the hierarchy could inherit the access. And then we click on Save. Step two. Now we create the sharing rule for the public group. We navigate to Setup, click Security, and click Sharing Settings. Or simply go to Setup and then search for Sharing Settings. From the drop-down of Manage Sharing Settings we choose Campaigns. So under the campaign sharing rules, click on the button New, provide the details for the new sharing rule as shown. We then select a criteria to give access to records for which the value of the field campaign name is camp_x. So now all the users under the newly created public group will get access to those records of campaign object where the campaign name is camp_x. Now we move to controlling record visibility using sharing rules. To understand the significance of sharing rules in Salesforce, we have to get a clear understanding about the organization-wide default, OWD. Organization-wide default settings in Salesforce. For example, the OWD settings for a particular record is set to private. Here we can access our own records, and we can't access other records in the system. By using role hierarchies, we can expand up the access from manager to access their subordinates' information. The OWD, organization-wide default, is actually set to private, and SVP, Customer Service and Support, will not access SVP, Human Resources. Both of them are in the same level in role hierarchies. So now our requirement, SVP, Customer Service and Support, should, and here are the steps, go to Administer, and then navigate to Security Control, and then navigate to Sharing Settings. Here we're creating a sharing rule for standard object, which is leads, and then we're going to define the role to which records to be shared, and we have to select the users to share with. So we have two rule types in Salesforce. Number one, based on the record owner. Number two, based on the criteria. So we go to the lead sharing rules, create new. Now we've moved the lead sharing rules and clicked on create new. So now we enter the label and role name. Now we select the role type. Then we select SVP Customer Service and Support. Then we select SVP Human Resources. Then we select level of access. And finally, we click on Save. Using sharing rules in Salesforce, we can share a record to a specific group, role, queues and roles, and subordinates. With this, we come to the end of this session, and we'd like to thank you for joining us. And also, don't hesitate to visit our website at learnitcoursesonline.com to leave your feedback and reviews. And also look at our events. We have a lot of free sessions, and we'd be more than happy to have you join at any given time, and also sign up with us for our newsletter. Thank you and have a wonderful time.